Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. Happy Friday as we get set for the weekend.
I know. Are you ready for your weekend? I happen to be on the same page as you. You said, I guess it was last Saturday, you said, I think something big is going to happen soon. And I keep looking at what's happening in Iran, Bill. And I think the weekend might be this weekend. What do you think?
That could happen this weekend. I think there's a lot of distractions going on. Some of them are deliberate, but you got the Iran thing. From what I see, it's imminent that we're going to have some kind of military confrontation. That doesn't mean that we will. But if you look at all the evidence says,
I think Trump had to at least try to look like he was going to negotiate a peace. But I think realistically, all of the minds in D.C. said, look, Iran's it's not going to change unless we completely erase that regime. Because
all right, but let's think about something here. You got that going on, and usually you try to erase. Now, over here on the other corner, you've got the Epstein files that's brewing up, and they keep doing that. They had 4 years to do something with it. They didn't. All we get are name calling, accusations, and finger pointing. However, what they're saying now, this is so heinous and just bad. I mean, this is a global effort of really sick people that have been doing some nefarious things with kids and whatnot. And I'm like going, well, does that even touch in the Middle East too? That you had, some.
Are they all connected, you mean? The
right.
globalists?
And so, is everything that there's a power thing.
Let me ask you a question. Don't you think that money, at the root of all
money changes
evil,
everything?
Yeah. And the people who have the power have the money. So,
right.
So, they probably have business dealings with Iran. They probably have I'm talking about the globalists. They probably have business dealings all around the world, and they probably can flex their political muscle by how they spend their money, how they channel those. So yeah, I do think that there's a connection.
Yeah, there's that, and then you got Bill and Hillary. I thought it was last week, but I guess it's this weekend they do their little thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the 23rd. Is that?
Today's the 20th, so that would make it Monday. Yeah, 21, 22. Yeah, so that would be that. And Hillary is upset, because she was thrown under the bus, and so
Have you noticed? Nothing... So she's signaling how she's going to handle the questions by she's going on the offense. She's starting to talk in public about Donald Trump and how it really is all about the things that he did that he's trying to cover up. And then she says that Bill was only with Epstein for the airplane rides because he was going to his charities to get funding for this and for the children's.
That happened to be by the Epstein Island.
Yeah. Well, where'd he go?
Because he was on the island.
He went 20 times, 18 times on the plane, maybe more.
Well, they're saying Trump flew on the Epstein plane a lot.
No, he never flew. He only flew one time.
That's what I understand. But then I did a research, and now they're saying, oh no, he's flown 8 or 9 times from New York to
no.
But there's no concrete proof, and they're saying, well, he's probably been on the island. Probably.
Well,
may have been.
This representative, what's his name, Lou, out in California, a Democrat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I heard him.
Oh, he is blatantly a liar. He's decided that I'm not even gonna pull any punches. I'm just gonna create a narrative and sell it.
And here's my thought on that. When I saw that and heard that, I thought, okay, pal, Lou, if that's his name, I got a proposal for him, and I hope he gets it. That proposal is, you're claiming it, so give us your proof. Now that you put it on the table, prove it factually, show us the evidence, or you know what? Turn in your keys, because you put your career on the table, because you're trying to put somebody else's life and career on the table. So
Well,
pony up, pal, or get lost.
he is obviously decided that he's got nothing to lose. See, I think my answer if I were Trump is I would just sue him for $1 billion. I would sue him for slander. No proof, and you're telling everybody that I flew. I was mentioned 3,000 times in the Epstein report. You know,
Well, yeah, he says 3,000. Now they're saying it's 38,000. And see, now the law of probability kicks in. And I find this an interesting comparison. Well, Trump has been mentioned more times in the Epstein files than Jesus in the Bible. Why did you pick Jesus as your thing unless this is an outright attack on Trump, the Republican Party, and Christians? This is an assault. This is an attack. And then they're saying this is not democracy. There is no democracy. We are not a democracy.
I'm maybe people will call me a conspiracy theorist, but I believe this whole thing ultimately boils down to a battle between good and evil.
That's
the
not
whole
a conspiracy. Thing. That is a fact. But
yeah,
you know what?
All I wanted to say was that I think that it's easy. You know, Jesus has historically been an easy target to go after by the bad guys because Jesus was good. And he preached love, even of your enemy, right? Mm-hmm. So he's always been an easy target, Bill. And because he turn the other cheek. How many human beings can turn the other cheek? But they preach that, walk away from a fight. It's better to walk away from a fight than to get involved unnecessarily.
Well, there's a fight going on. And, and supposedly, the redaction is to protect names. I'm beyond protecting anybody in the file now. Just go ahead and release it, point blank, get it all out there, show all the names, show everything you got, put it on the table. And you know what? If it flies and hits Trump in the face, okay. But you know what? It's going to hit a lot of people in the face. But I don't think it's going to hit Trump in the face.
No, well, I think Trump is ready. See, I think in the first term, Trump wanted... I really mean this. In the first term, I think Trump wanted everybody to like him. And then...
He doesn't care now.
But yeah, during that 4-year period where they tried to sink him and his company and his family, I think he realized... Well, and then he got shot. We keep forgetting about that because he lived. But he got shot. And people say, oh, it was just a nick. You get a round like that to hit you in the ear. A fraction away from the back of your brain.
And they say it's fake, too. They're saying all kinds of stuff. Look, the one thing that I do see that's going on, too, while this is going on and as they ramp it up, and how did we jump from 3,000 to 38,000?
Because they can make it up, because the media doesn't fact check them, Bill.
Well, let me ask you this. Are the Epstein files, because I thought about this. I said, wait, Epstein maybe worked for the CIA.
Yeah.
Now, if you're doing something nefarious, do you keep files or even keep any kind of record of something that will incriminate yourself?
I wouldn't.
Let alone,
I wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't. So that makes me call into question all of the files.
You know what makes me go, what they released the last batch of the Epstein files over this past weekend, right?
Right.
And in the meantime, we're being distracted by this Tucson case, which, by the way, nothing has changed since day one.
Well, I got something to say about the Tucson case and the Epstein ranch.
I'll bet you do. Go ahead.
But first, what I'm going to do is say the other thing, the ball that they're teeing up, they don't have a dog in the race in 2028, and they are worried about 2026. So they already put out 3 days ago the picture of Kamala and Ocasio. And
I saw that.
I sent it to you as a joke, but I said,
oh my God.
Yeah, you got Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and but either way, but apparently all of a sudden, a Gallup poll comes out. Well, there's buyer's remorse. And there were a couple of Quinnipiac surveys too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Quinnipiac, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Either way, you've got, Trump is still ahead, but Kamala's gaining ground. That's their candidate. And what they're trying to do is Trojan horse this thing. Now, what I was going to say about the Epstein thing, they don't have Trump They can't connect Trump to the island because he was never there. Are they going to use the ranch in
You mean
Tucson,
the Zorro Ranch in New Mexico?
in New Mexico? Yeah. Are they going to
Yeah,
use
I don't.
that as?
I don't think they can there either. I think Trump. See, I think Trump ended up hating the guy,
Well, no, he did.
and I think the guy hated him. Epstein didn't like Trump either. He's mentioned only because son of a bitch Trump. I mean, he talks negatively, pejoratively about Trump. He doesn't
Yeah.
talk with great respect. You know. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask
There's
you
a
a question.
relationship.
If you went to Mar-a-Lago
Mhm.
and Donald Trump literally had you physically removed from the property, would you think highly of Donald Trump from that point on? Hell no.
No, and the timeline's interesting too because 2004 is when it soured. And all of Trump's woes of every bad that they cast on him with uh, the porn star that tried to say something,
Yeah.
said she's going to leave the country, that didn't get her case. You've got E. Jean Carroll. Well, that was around that time frame too. All of a sudden, these little tidbit things come in. And by the way, with the E. Jean Carroll thing, the video out there, she was with Anderson Cooper on an interview, and where she sat there and essentially admitted that this was a fantasy. Rape is a fantasy of hers, and nothing happened.
We played it a couple of days ago.
Yeah. And so I'm like going, this is all fabrications of a lie, and the lie's not sticking enough for them. So they have to keep making it bigger and bigger. Well, he was mentioned a few times in the files. Well, he was mentioned 3,300 times in the files. Well, did you know 33? No, it's 38,000, more than Jesus was mentioned in the Bible. You know what? I call you a liar.
Well, I think
Give me your proof.
Well, here's what I think. What we're seeing is desperation right now. They're becoming more nervous as the days and weeks progress. Look, I'm somebody who believes that Trump should have gotten into office and brought the hammer down on these bad guys right away. He hasn't done it. He has been incredibly patient. Now, is that the businessman in him? When he does deals, patience is a strength. You have to be able to walk away from a deal and wait and see what happens, or let things settle, and then consummate the deal. Is he doing that here and we just don't see it? Is Trump allowing the Democrats to not only put the noose around their own neck, but literally tighten it, to their neck? Is he allowing them to become confident, for example? Maybe become a little, well, he hasn't done anything yet. He's not going to do anything. He doesn't have anything. Or is he just allowing them to become complacent and become, confident?
Well, here's the thing for you. When you look at the news and you see people accusing Trump of this, and people that have come forward and said, well, blah, 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 and they've all been proven erroneous, all right? The original count of Trump was somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000, and then mentions, and then it was 5,300, but none of them was, there was not even smoke from a gun because there was no gun.
Right.
And now with the 38,000, or with the recent release, well, it's 38,000 times that he's been mentioned, probably more. As I'm looking here, the reason for that is since Trump ordered the release, this comes from people calling in, tips. Well, I have it on a good source that Trump actually engaged in this. I have it on a good source. Where do you think those came from? Bots? Or real people, or Democrats accusing?
Has anybody actually counted? Nowadays with AI, you probably could say, give me an exact count on the number of times the name Trump was mentioned in all of the documents, and in a second it'll do it. I would imagine it wouldn't be terribly difficult, but you have to ask yourself: are they counting every time the name is mentioned, or every time he's referenced as he said this or he said that?
Referenced. It's referenced, and even then, The number is a guesstimate. And, the comparison to the Bible, all right, you've got 3 million plus pages. So, if you're a polarizing figure, you're probably going to be mentioned a lot of times. But we're comparing apples and oranges because the Bible is what it's got 800,000 words. So out of 800,000 words, that's nowhere near 3 million pages. So, Jesus being mentioned in the Bible maybe 1,200 times is, really, it does super, when you weight it,
Yeah.
Jesus is mentioned by comparison more in the Bible than Trump is in Epstein. But this is a democratic thing, which we're not a democratic society.
This is desperation, Bill. Again,
this is an outreach, but people are shallow. They don't want to. It's shock value.
Well, that's what the Democrats
know.
know. What you said, the Democrats know that if they can just throw it out there and people aren't paying attention like they should be, they'll hear it and they'll believe it and they'll move on. They won't investigate it. They won't say, well, that doesn't sound right. They will just assume that, well, Trump was mentioned 38,000 times. I heard it just on the news last night.
That's a lot, but that ain't.
Look, Trump didn't go to Epstein Island. He didn't diddle with underaged women. He didn't do it. They would love. Let me ask you a question, folks. And this is
serious.
Biden had all of these documents for 4 years. The Democrats sat on this stuff for 4 years. They could have dropped this on Trump when he was being booked down in Georgia just to make it even worse. But they didn't because they couldn't.
Well, there's not only that, because there was no evidence, nothing to connect him to anything. And they had the 4 years. They know exactly what's in that thing. And they're saying, well, the Republicans are trying to hold us back and redacting it. Well, there are people that need to be protected because, the guy that fills up the vending machine is not guilty of anything but just having to, sucks. They were on the route or whatever it is that had to be done there. But Biden would have had, if there were photos, because there would be photos, obviously. There's photos of everybody who went to the island. But not one single Trump photo. Is he a vampire that you can't take a picture of?
Yeah.
Or are you just making this crap up? I picked the latter.
I love how Hillary, she was asked about the picture of Bill in the hot tub with Ghislaine Maxwell and the underage woman who had her face redacted so you couldn't see her, and Hillary made light of it. Oh, it was this. Or Hillary is the consummate political animal liar. She'll lie about anything. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you could go to Ghislaine and sit there and say, hey, where was this photo taken? I would bet you she would plead the fifth. And the reason is because Hillary, and this is just Bill Knight saying it, Hillary has a reputation that where people that say something against her or people that she doesn't like get disappeared. And, I look at Epstein, what happened to him in the prison. I've looked at, Vince Foster by a tree in a park, and I'm sitting there going, I'd keep my app shut too.
Yeah.
Because that means she can get you anywhere.
Well, all I can tell you, folks, is that a lot of people have a lot to lose if Trump gets his way. If Trump gets his way, and he has a history of getting his way. I'm not just talking politically, but in business too. So if he's successful and gets his way, a lot of Democrats are going to go down. Now, what will that mean? It could be the demise of the entire party. The party's on shaky ground right now. Look at what's happened to them in the past couple of years, especially during the Biden regime. It has gone solid socialist. It has leaned hard towards Bernie Sanders and then it has embraced AOC, and it is now we have a guy Mamdani in New York who, by the way, is destroying the city, and he's only been there 2 months.
He's doing a damn good job of taking it down and turning it into a communist stronghold.
You know what he's doing? You know what he's doing? He can't find the money that he wants for his socialist projects, so he said, "Well, I'll do the typical thing that the Democrats do. We'll defund the police and take it from their money. We'll take the money from their money and put it towards my socialist agenda." He's inventing new branches of government and giving them payrolls. Look, I have a cut here. Brian Kilmeade explains in a few words what he's doing with the money.
4.6 million commission on racial equity, 835,000 commission on gender equity, 260,000 for Department of Education Chief Diversity Officer, 301,000 for 3 FDNY Civilian Chief Diversity Inclusion Officers. There's a title for you. And 118,000 for an FDNY Chief Diversity Inclusion Officers. Is that necessary stuff? You can't cut that back?
I mean, think about it for a second. All those things, those are jobs that he created. And those are all salaries and funding going towards them. Not going towards picking up the garbage that's piling up in front of your apartment, not going for plowing the roads and trying to get the snow out of the way so you can get your car so you can go to work. No. He wants all this other crap funded.
Well, I would venture to say that somewhere in the neighborhood of 30% of the people that voted for Mamdani, and maybe even more, probably really didn't vote. So I guess my question is, if the people that are fed up, both conservative and Democrat, if they sat there and said, we're mad as hell, we don't have tea to throw in the ocean, but you know what? We're not going to throw our dollars in taxes after you until you get this crap straightened up. Withhold their funding because they're already in debt. What are they going to do?
Let me tell you, I don't believe that. I don't believe that real U.S. citizens voted for this clown in New York.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but let me finish. I think this guy, Bill, is he is the point man, so to speak, for a movement. But I think the Democrats are fighting so hard not to do that SAVE Act. They don't want, think about it. Why would they be fighting desperately to stop you from proving that you're a U.S. citizen to vote? I mean, you have to prove that you're a U.S. citizen or a resident to get a license. You have to prove a lot of things in life. You have to go. You have to get booze at a liquor store. You have to show an ID. But they got a problem with showing your driver's license and showing proof that you are a citizen? Come on. But they want, because, Bill, they know that they're not winning their elections honestly now.
Right. So take that into account, because what's on the table right now? The SAVE Act, right? So they've got the wheel of doom, okay, and they're spinning that thing. Okay, how many times has Trump been noted there in the Epstein files? Oh, let's make it 38,000. Let's spin that thing again. Well, Iran is a hot seat. Okay, that looks good too. They're throwing everything in, and even the kitchen sink and the dirty old rotten toilet, whatever they can do to sit there and distract.
Oh, yeah.
So that they can stop the SAVE Act, because perhaps when it gets stopped, they're dead in the water in 26, dead in the water in 28. But if they get it through, it's smooth sailing.
We have numbskull Republicans, not all of them, but we have some numbskull Republicans who the SAVE Act should be a no-brainer. It should be like, yeah, we all do it. It's a smart move. But there are some numbskulls in Congress and in the Senate who they're very political animals. They think only about themselves. They are holding back their vote. Now, as it stands right now, they have the votes to pass it. I think they have 51 now. Mm-hmm. But
It's not strong enough.
They've got to get rid of the filibuster. And John Thune is not, he hasn't come out and said, yeah, we're going to get rid of the filibuster. No problem. He's wavered, vacillated back and forth. Well, yeah, the filibuster as it stands right now is how we've done it in recent years, and it's tradition. No. As soon as the Democrats get power again, they're going to get rid of the filibuster so that they can pass whatever they want to pass with a simple majority of 51, and you're going to be the loser, Thune.
Right.
You know? So don't be on the high horse like you're doing something noble. Do the right thing, what the people want.
Is Thune in the Epstein files?
I doubt it. Well, who knows? I mean, Janis Joplin was in it, and she died in 1970.
Well, she came back, She had to come back and do she was in somebody's mind, so she made the files.
I don't know. Michael Jackson was in the Epstein files. Diana Ross was in the Epstein files. I'm just saying, to be, and yes, Whoopi Goldberg was in the Epstein files. She even admitted to it the other day. Hey, like and share our show. Tell your friends about us. Jim and Bill, it's another day. Hey, I saw something interesting, by the way. I saw yesterday that our PR department has been working diligently on putting together some swag for our show. And I'm not saying that we have it available just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if not too far down the road, you'll be able to get yourself your very own swag. I love that term. It sounds a certain,
it's kind of cool. Okay. They said it was just a spur of the moment design and kind of an impulsive thing, because a lot of the swag that we have is politically, strongly motivated. The
this
Trumpinator cups and stuff like that.
Understated, isn't it? Wouldn't you call it?
It was a very simplistic thing that
And we're not going to say
okay. Juan put it together, but
Juan in the PR department.
Yeah, he did the he found the font
people don't realize how well staffed we are and how we have a platoon of It's Another Day staff behind us working diligently, their fingers to the bone to bring you our product. What do you mean it doesn't sound it? What?
It's a corduroy hat with basically, not our pictures. Just very
Are these
simply.
hand sewn, Bill? By the way, I'm just curious.
Yes, we hire little old ladies at the nursing home. No, I'm kidding. I don't. No, it's done by a machine somewhere, but it's got that in a very simple 3-word just statement at the bottom that anybody can relate to. So they're cool. And, probably in a day or two, you'll be able to sit there and go to it.
In the beginning, we had a couple of numbskull mistakes. We had, Jim and Bill. It's very simple. Jim and Bill, B-I-L. It was Jam and Bull. But so we had to send it back.
I was like going, I was going Jam?
Yeah.
Go Jam?
Yeah, and you're Bull, yes.
Well, I've been called that before. Yeah, so I would say, probably in a day or so, you'll probably be able to go to the website and see some of the things. You'll see some old stuff there, but some of that stuff will retire.
It's the perfect summer wear. It's the perfect thing to wear when you're heading down to the beach to see your friends, maybe or go to a picnic in the neighborhood. You want to strike up a interesting conversation with your liberal friends while you're cooking hot dogs? Explain why you're wearing a Jim and Bill hat, and we speak the truth underneath it, right? Explain that to your liberal neighbors. They'll be throwing the hot dogs at you.
Yeah. And the women will throw themselves at you. And the men will throw themselves at the women. Never mind.
Hey, listen, by the way, like and share the show. Also, if you want to contact us, those swag things aren't available yet, but they will be soon. You can contact us at mail@jimandbill.com.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. Senator Ed Markey is from Massachusetts, and the guy is your stereotypical chameleon, political chameleon. He will
Yes,
go.
he is.
He will go with whatever the political flow is, right? If they go in this direction, Ed Markey goes in that direction. And these guys always say, "Well, I'm a good Catholic," or "I'm a good this," or I'm an Irishman." Folks, I'm Irish Catholic, right? And we believe in pro-life. Supposedly, we believe in a faith and values, but these guys like Biden, right? He was always wearing his religion on his sleeve. "Oh, I'm Catholic. I got to go to mass." So in the meantime, he didn't see an abortion bill that he didn't raise his hand for, right? "Oh, I'm in favor of that. I'm in favor of that." So these guys are liars. Well, if that's what Ed Markey is. Well, Ed Markey, I mentioned yesterday there's a hospital in New York, Langone, that is they're not doing trans operations anymore in children. They've decided that it's unethical, it's wrong. These young people shouldn't have these operations because they're not at the age where they really know what's happening to their bodies. And they've decided the responsible thing is to stop. As a matter of fact, one of the doctors, not only did he say that we're not doing it anymore, but we apologize to all of those that we did it to in the past. Think about that. They didn't just stop the process, but they apologized. Anyway, That being said, that's never stopped a Democratic politician from damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Here's Ed Markey, the senator from Massachusetts.
We're going to fight every single day to put trans rights into the law of our country because trans rights are human rights, and that's why my colleagues and I have laid out a simple yet powerful truth in the Trans Bill of Rights. Trans people have the right to live free from discrimination. Trans people have the right to live free from violence, and trans people have the right to live free from government intrusion into their bodies and into their lives. Our resolution affirms the right to gender-affirming health care, the right to accurate identity documents, the right to fully participate in school, in work, and in public life, just like anyone else.
Hey, Senator Markey, how about paying attention to the friggin' highways in Massachusetts? I've been on your roads. How about doing stuff like making sure the trains run on time?
How about paying attention to the news from the state right next door, where you had the 56-year-old trans male that went to a public hockey game and killed his family because they didn't accept him. And now the public narrative, even in Massachusetts and in Rhode Island and growing across the country, is, you know what? We have to realize that transgenderism is a mental disease.
Yeah.
That means you're part of the disease, pal.
See,
go get checked.
Bill, you made an interesting point. And I've heard this mentioned a lot now. We've in the past 50 years, we have closed down mental institutions, right? So where
these
these
guys need help.
So where do those people go? They should be in those mental institutions. They go out on the street. They go out in the public. They live amongst us. And so instead of helping them over the past 50 years, instead of dealing with the problem, we've actually encouraged it as a society. Well, you want to wear a dress? You want to go speak in front of kindergarten kids about being a trans this or a trans that? We'll normalize it.
We've encouraged it, and this has gone on since the 60s and 70s. Do what you want to do, be what you want to be. And I'm sorry, but it is just not natural
or healthy.
Yeah. And these people have a mental disease. And I look at people, because I've known a few that I've worked with, great people, and they weren't trans. So I'm not going on that path. But, there are people that sit there, there's a chemical imbalance in the brain. And all of a sudden, they get really cray-cray, thinking that everybody's against them. They kind of reclude from everything. They get very violent and very hostile. And what do? They give them lithium. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but I do know it calmed them down. But obviously the dose that they could give was only good for so many days out of the month. And then there were 3 to 4 days where they were just cray-cray, and you had to sit there and physically get them back on the medication.
Yeah.
Well, if that can happen in a normal sense just for regular people, don't you think that this might need to be a little further study than used as a tool for getting votes?
I mean, if I and I haven't got the list in front of me, I was checking just now. If I could tell you that the list of school attacks, for example, in recent times, a lot of them have been done by trans people who had problems in this area. They their answer to the problem was grab a rifle and go to a school. This guy in Pawtucket. Pawtucket, by the way, is literally it's a suburb of Providence. If you're not familiar with Rhode Island, and it's a all American area, and this skating rink, his kid was playing hockey on during that game. This guy, think about it for a second. What normal man dresses up as a woman and walks into a hockey rink with a pink painted assault rifle? Pink. He painted his assault rifle pink like it was a toy. And then he proceeded to blast innocent people just there to watch a game. This guy you can't tell me, folks, that he was thinking in his right mind. I don't believe it. I believe that he was, if you had asked this guy 10 years ago, you're going to kill your family in a hockey rink dressed as a woman, he probably he wouldn't have believed you. I think the medication screws them up. And I think, by the way, that New York NYU Langone Health Center in Manhattan has come to that conclusion, too, that maybe we're giving these people the wrong things and it's having a negative effect on them. Now, this guy who killed his family, he was living in Florida. His wife and he divorced, I think, in 2021. He was living in Florida. You might say to yourself, well, why did he come back if he was divorced? Because Rhode Island is a kissy-face, huggy-bear, leftist state, just like Massachusetts. All of those New England states, not all of them, some of them less than others. New Hampshire's a little more mainstream. Maine is a little more mainstream, but Massachusetts has jumped in. They've dove in the deep end of liberalism, as has the state of Rhode Island. And I'm very familiar personally. I'm very familiar with both those states. I grew up in that area. I've seen it. The problem with those areas is they're corrupt. You say, what? No, they're corrupt. They have been corrupt. The political systems in those states have been corrupt for decades. It has been it hasn't been a secret. You're saying, well, wait a second. Don't they really believe their stuff? I mean, they have a lesbian governor in Massachusetts, and they have this Michelle Wu in Boston. She's another liberal lunatic. Yeah, it's come that far, but I can go back to the days of the 50s and the 60s when it wasn't a secret. The government, the system wasn't legitimate. Let me give you an example. Mm-hmm. Let me give you an example of how far it goes back. The mayor of Boston back in the 30s and 30s was James Michael Curley. James Michael Curley was old school Democrat. The Depression was going on, right? He wanted to get votes. So he figured, well, I'm mayor. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to start a project where we're going to put sidewalks down all throughout the Boston Common. Sidewalks all throughout the Common. It'll be beautiful. You'll love it. So he spends hundreds of thousands, which today would be millions of dollars, on putting all these ornate, well laid out, and I'm talking first-rate sidewalks in the Boston Common. Took him years to do it. And as soon as he was finished, he said, pull those sidewalks up. Every single one of those sidewalks, pull them up and reseed them and put the grass down again. The same people. You're saying, well, why do you do that? Because he kept those guys on the dole of the state. He kept paying those guys on the dole. Those guys who were doing that work, and he wasn't understaffed. He had 5 guys doing the job of 1, right? He had all these people working. They knew that they were being paid when they shouldn't be paid. Everyone else was out of work. But who would they vote for in the next election? James Michael Curley. Absolutely. So, I mean, and that was one example. Another example in more recent times, Bill, state of Massachusetts, the Turnpike. If you're not familiar with the city of Boston, I can tell you personally, I used to work at a radio station in what they call the Combat District in Boston, WMEX in Boston, and great little station, had no signal. I had a 50,000 watts, but its signal went out to sea. We had more listeners in England than we had in Framingham. But the fact of the matter is, they put the Massachusetts Turnpike, they wanted to put it under the city, and they wanted to repave the roads, right? They didn't want to have the turnpike going through the city. So they kind of buried they had this big project. It was supposed to cost like $1 billion. It ended up costing like $12 billion. It was supposed it was supposed to take 2 or 3 years. It took about 12 years to do it. But
And then it was falling apart when they opened it up.
well, shh, Bill, you're not supposed to be so. You shouldn't be talking. That's paying too much attention. Yes, but even to this day, they're working on it. I mean,
if you drive through, you see chunks, and you're sitting there going, "I hope that doesn't fall on my car." And
Yeah.
I mean, it's like playing when you drive through it Russian roulette.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get a dent in the hood.
but
Could be you today.
a lot of people made a lot of money. A lot of politicians somehow became wealthy people. I don't know how that happened. I'm just saying,
Yeah, and by the way, your question about identified as transgender in shootings, that's only been paid attention to recently. So we're talking about 8 to 9 people. But more importantly is if you go back, 20 and 30 years on this, there's been a low number of transgender perpetrators in mass shootings that have been reported under, it's underreporting, misclassification, and cases of gender identity that was deliberately kept quiet, not disclosed publicly, hidden by family, media, or not investigated. So in other words, they didn't want public perception or anything else to be involved. So these numbers,
one of the most famous movies of the early 90s was a movie called Silence of the Lambs.
right?
And the killer, the bad guy, was a guy who liked to dress up in women's clothing, so much so that he would work hard to, and they made it, I only mention this because it was part of the movie, he would crush his genitals into his legs so he looked like a woman. All right? So he tried to hide his genitals. He was essentially a tranny back in 91, but they didn't talk about it like they talk about it now. By the way, in 91, they implied that this guy was mentally deranged. In 91, it was kind of, well, that guy's, he's nuts, That's how and that was one of the main characters in the movie. Where did it become normalized? And this gets to my next topic, Bill, but I think we should take a pause here. I just looked at the clock. Like and share the show if you would. Jim and Bill, it's another day. Jim and Bill, it's another day. And also you can contact us at mail@jimandbill.com.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. So we're talking about normalizing things, and I think, Bill, it goes to, I really think one of the big villains in this whole scenario is our educational system over the last
absolutely,
last 40 or 50 years. I am very aware of the teachers and how hard they work. I know a lot of teachers. I'm married to a teacher, an exceptional teacher who took her job incredibly seriously, almost to a fault. I mean, she really loved the kids and worked hard to teach them the things that she was supposed to teach them. But there is a faction in that strata of profession in teaching that is more political than professional. They would prefer to adjust people's minds. Case in point, I don't know that I have it to where I can play it for you right now. If you give me 1 second, I may be able to.
I'll give you two. 1,000.
Yeah, I have
1,002.
This is depressing. I'm going to give you a little cue. I'm going to give you a little cue not to. If you are offended by the F-bomb, then you might want to tune away for just a bit. Okay.
A good time for a study pop.
Yeah. These are kids who are being trained today in our public schools to hate ICE. You're saying what? These are kids in a public school, all right, being trained to hate ICE. I'm gonna play this for you and see what you think.
Kaylin. Hi, my name is Rafa. Hi, my name is Ulysses, and we're presenting The Story of Others. The stories of others, intertwining like brothers, trying to change and free from struggles.
While at the same time hoping for help under the covers, unrecognized by others.
We are all humans, no matter the race. No disgrace, we all deserve a place, and we shouldn't have to pick up our pace because a police officer is in our face or a crazy white lady sprays us with mace.
We all are not thugs, and we all deserve hugs, and some of us won't even crush bugs.
We're getting deported by ICE, and I can't understand why everyone can't suffice.
We have might, so we must fight. Just for our rights, look at the future and set our sights.
Fuck ICE. Cooked, our system is cooked.
Booked, our president should read a book.
Shook, every time we see an officer, we shouldn't be shook.
Look, we shouldn't be judged on the way we look.
Light shines through the darkest times, no matter the bull. They will not fold if we all uphold.
The stories of others, intertwining like brothers, trying to change and free from struggles. We can shine as we work together. And who knows, maybe like the phoenix, we will continue to rise.
Some teacher should be fired for that.
Oh, absolutely should be fired. And the kids need to sit there and they need to be, you don't have to reprogram them, but what you have to do is tell them how that's wrong. And, a teacher taking probably something he wrote or that was published and has all that foul, vulgar language in it and a reverse hate in it, they need to be, at least given a balanced narrative. That teacher.
Those three young men, they stood up there and they were so proud, and they did what they were trained to do, they were taught to do, and they did it well.
Right.
In front, and they got a round of applause, an affirmation. Good for them. But what did the teacher tell them? The teacher told them that the police organization ICE is bad. The police organization ICE is anti-American, anti-them. That's what this do-nothing, numbskull teacher told those kids. Now, if you think that's a one of, let me tell you another thing that happened. I think it was out in Wisconsin. A parent, and I haven't got the audio, but I saw the video. A parent walks into a high school office and says, "I'm taking my kid out of his class right now." And the woman behind the desk says, "Well, they're in the middle of." No, I'm taking them out now. He said, "You have 1,000 of your students up on the road, up on the highway in front of your school. One of them almost got hit by a car," he said, "and they're protesting ICE during school time. They should be in this is a parent telling these numbskull teachers this. You have an obligation to be teaching them in the classroom, not letting them stroll the highway protesting." The guy was really ticked off. And I would have been too.
Yeah, I've seen videos. Where people have posted nice little liberals going, "Isn't that beautiful? Look at all these kids marching and protesting." I'm going, these kids are not old enough and responsible enough yet to know what it is that they're doing, except for the fact that they have been indoctrinated at a young age. You give them the raw basics of life. A person doesn't. boys don't hit maturity until they're 26 to 28. Women somewhere around 23 to 25. So you're sitting there plugging this into their minds
Yep.
as truth and justice. That's not the American way. That's the Communist Manifesto way. And these are communists that are teaching our children.
You know, good parents, all American parents have been silent too long. And I really believe this. If you have kids in school, you damn well better start paying attention to what they're teaching them. And if it's not something that you're paying the town to teach them, you better let the town know that they're doing a bad job. Let them know that they're not fulfilling their end of the bargain. You know, when these three kids are learning that rap song with the swearing in it, Anti-Ice, they're not learning something that's important to their education. When they're being taught to do one thing, it's to the exclusion of something more important. You know? I mean, maybe they should be learning Latin, or maybe they should be teaching them algebra so that they have a better understanding of mathematics. Maybe they should be teaching them French. Maybe they should be doing things that can help expand their horizons, not drag these poor minds of mush, as Rush used to call them, these poor minds of mush into an area where they shouldn't be even discussing. Those three kids, they were about 12, 13 years old. They didn't know what ice was from an ice cube. They couldn't tell you whether ice was good or bad. They were expressing the values and the opinions of the teacher. And they didn't know why, but they got the round of applause and they smiled at the end like, hey, and by the way, if I used that language when I was a kid in class, I would be expelled or at least suspended for a few days. If my teachers in the public school heard me use the F-bomb in class, are you kidding? But some teacher thought that was okay. Some teacher thought not only is it okay, but we'll put it in your little poem, your little rap song, and we'll say it in front of the class. It will be totally accepted.
When's it going to be introduced into the church? Because that's next. I mean, they are crumbling the morals of our society. They want to tear it down, and they want to tear down religion too. So
I was talking to my brother who lives up in Massachusetts, and they were talking about how they went to church, and one of the priests was retiring, but I guess he was talking about how he was going to all these different protests, ICE protests. You know, the priest should have shut his mouth. You know, instead of talking about going to an ICE protest, maybe you should talk about how you affirm life from the pulpit. If you're gonna be political on the side of where the church doctrine is. Okay. Not going after police officers, but maybe you should be talking about how the church stands for pro-life and how you believe in pro-life values, and maybe you should talk about that from the pulpit. But they won't do that because that may offend some of the liberal parishioners who give money to the church.
Exactly. And that's the bottom line. Where does the dollar come from? That's the way you're going to sway your politics and your religion. Yeah. And that doesn't say a lot about you when that happens.
Well, I wanted to play that cut for you because when a friend of mine from Wisconsin sent that down to me of those three kids doing that rap in front of the class, I couldn't believe it. I'm old school, folks. I still believe that when you go to school, the teachers are teaching you. But apparently not so much anymore. Apparently, it's accepted. By the way, when that parent walked into the office and the secretary was trying to defend, well, they're in class right now, or he didn't even know where the kids were. She thought they were in class. They were out in front of they were on the highway with signs swearing at cars. Amazing stuff. And by the way, these are not the exceptions nowadays. This is unfortunately becoming the rule. Bill, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was I'm amazed this woman hasn't been kicked out of Congress and is still walking the streets. She was making an income of $57,000 3 years ago, and now she's worth, what, $30 million, they say?
AOC?
No,
or,
Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar,
yes.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
She she's gotten a second wind, I guess, because she was speaking about how she thinks that there's a movement rising in Congress to get rid of the Department of Homeland Security. Listen.
What I will say is that there is an easier conversation happening today than 6-7 years ago when I got to Congress about what we need to do with ICE, which is to abolish it. And there is a lot of conversation about what the dismantlement of the Department of Homeland Security should look like.
Folks, this lady is part of that whole multi-billion-dollar fraud swindle in Minneapolis.
Let me ask you a question. What her and I'm not trying to be, holier than thou or anything like that. What is her religious belief?
Well, she's Muslim.
All right. Now, there's videos all over the place where Muslim people are posting, that you cannot fight us. We are taught by Muhammad that we are the master religion of the world. You can't stop us. We're everywhere. And we are going to be the only religion in the world. So tell me again, Omar, what are you really saying here? Because this ICE thing is obviously to stop the import of what?
Well, I would say that's one of the elements. Yeah. I also think that they're trying to stop crime. They're trying to stop the illegal drug flow into our country.
They all go hand in hand.
Human trafficking is an element that is trying to stop.
Mm-hmm.
But by the way, I'm amazed she's still walking around. I cannot believe that somebody hasn't made a resolution to kick her out of Congress. I'm amazed that somebody hasn't put her in shackles. I mean, folks, here's what I worry about with Trump. I worry that he's running out of road between now and the 2026 election. Midterms are going to be crucial. Basically, if the Democrats win, then forget about it. Trump will be, they'll work on impeaching him for the next 2 years, and his last 2 years in office will be abysmal, okay?
Well, they're already running for 2028. You say you're worried about him running out of road. He never had road to begin with. Everything he's doing is blazing a trail. And unfortunately, it's not that easy to blaze a trail through, the thick brush. And
he's not going to be able to blaze any trail when he's allowing the other side to build up fortification. I believe that his Department of Justice, I still wonder where the hell Pam Bondi is. I still, every so often I'll see her and I think, maybe something's about to happen. And then she disappears again. At what point is the Department of Justice going to come down with a friggin' hammer and do something that is absolutely necessary? Put the bad guys away.
If they came down with a hammer, is there a judge standing by to, say, excuse me, I got to take that hammer away because I've been appointed by the Democrats?
Well, I think that's a good point. And yes, I do think in the current environment, yes, I do think that maybe there should be an alternative way of doing all this.
And what is it?
Well, maybe it's to have some kind of martial law.
Insurrection Act or martial law.
Insurrection Act, where you make the military courts the primary courts for the time being. People will call you a dictator. But if that's what you have to do, Mr. President, to fix our country, there is a vast number of supporters out there who will go along with you. The media won't, and don't expect the media to come around. Oh, well, they're going to make it sound like you were the bad guy.
Yeah, well, maybe we're both racing to a cliff, and it's a game of chicken to see who, you don't want to go off the cliff, but you want to get the closest to it before you slam on the brakes. I mean, it's maybe not the best analogy, but this is a race, like you said, against time, and I do think that because we're talking about the Democrats, the deep state, and a lot of things going on out there, there's a lot of obstacles to overcome, and there's got to be, like you say, maybe a better, quicker way to do it.
We're not the only people who feel this way. Representative Tim Burchett from Tennessee, who I like a lot, he was on with Kayleigh McEnany on Fox News a couple of days ago. talking about the Democrat agenda, and I think he thinks like us. Listen.
Congressman Burchett, the children are safe from people like these guys. One first-degree kidnapping, assault, another rape in the third degree of someone under the age of 17, endangering the welfare of a child, and the list goes on.
300,000 kids are missing from the border debacle that Joe Biden put upon this country. If it wasn't for Donald Trump right now and Homan, they found 175,000 of them. They're trying to redirect the narrative here, Kyle, and it doesn't work. They've caught rapists, murderers, child molesters, and that's what the Democrats are protecting. That is exactly what they're protecting, and they have nowhere to hide, and they have no shame in all of this, because that is a pathetic agenda. President Trump came in, he said, I'm going to close the border, I'm going after the bad guys, and that's exactly what he did.
Congressman, what you just said there, I mean, that is to me the most underreported story. 175,000 children found, but not a peep out of the left that Biden lost 300,000 migrant children. I thought that's what the left was about, protecting migrants, but not the kids. It is as if they are political pawns in a scheme, and they're left out of the equation entirely when it just doesn't fit the narrative.
It does not fit their Marxist narrative. You're correct. You've written my talking point for me, Kylie, and thank you. Because that's exactly what happened. I've been to the border. It was just during the Biden administration. And you talk about some undermined law enforcement that we had down there. Everything that they stood for was just being walked over. We were spending tens of millions of dollars every month just on providing food, clothing, shelter for these folks. Again, when it doesn't fit their narrative, the national media just basically ignores it, and that's what they're doing with this story. Where in the heck were those 300,000 children? What hell were they being sold into by the cartels? Those are the kind of questions that need to be answered, and you're not going to get that in the mainstream media right now.
No, you're not. And these kids put in these emergency intake facilities. They were eating, at one point it was reported by a mainstream media outlet, bloodied chicken with feathers coming out of it. That's what migrant children were subjected to under Joe Biden's watch. It's unbelievable. Congressman, thank you. One more.
I got to tell you, Tim Burchett is my kind of representative. He lives in his office at the Capitol. He doesn't have an apartment in D.C., He showers in the congressional showers they have in the Capitol building. He literally, and he'll say goodnight to all of his staff and his friends, and he locks the door to his office, and that's where he lives. And he's on our page, and has been. He gets frustrated too. I subscribe to his. He does these walk around little snippets on Facebook, and he shares so much of our frustration. He's in Congress, and he said things like, I know why they call this place the swamp. They should call it the sewer. Mm-hmm. Swamp is actually too good. Swamp, things regenerate and grow in a swamp. In a sewer, they just rot. And I thought, oh my God, how accurate. Yeah. So,
I was going to say, when you talk about the, public opinion, who's winning the narrative of public opinion,
right?
The simple answer is the anti-Trump mainstream establishment side, because, it says here, because they control the media. So in other words, you're not going to hear anything good. And since most of the people get their news from the mainstream, that's what they believe. That's what they're told. Just like those kids in school, they are fed garbage and they spit out garbage.
Well, let me tell you something. If he invokes the Insurrection Act, and he's very hesitant about doing that. Trump is very hesitant about doing that. But when they do that, they can actually, from what I understand, they can actually take control of the media. They can actually shut down the media as it is right now. And people may say, well, that sounds communistic. No. If the system is broken now and they're spewing venom and lies now, then how else do you fix it? You have to stop
that's
it.
The problem, because we got state media right now. You shut down the state media, well, then they'll say, see, we told you. They're trying to shut down the truth.
Well, they can't say it if you shut down. They can't say it if you turn off their newscasts. I know it sounds drastic, but I think that You know, if you're driving along and your engine is not running right, you don't keep driving with the engine running wrong. You stop it and you fix it. You turn it off and you fix it. If the engine of the media is broken systematically, the whole system is broken, do you allow it to continue to run with the same people?
See, there's a perception that's been created out there. Case in point, I saw on Facebook a group that's formed, and it's patriotic colors, red, white, and blue, like a flag, and you see Trump there, and it's F Trump spelled out. And I'm like going, what? And they're trying to get people to join. And everything in there is a negative hate meme towards Trump. And they say you're free to join, free to post, but no hate speech. You see, they think anything that they say and negative and mean about Trump, they have been programmed this way that it's just the way it is. But if you say something negative or mean or truthful, but they take it as
anti their message,
the anti their message, that's hate speech.
Yeah. Well, look what's happening. Look what's happening with the Olympics right now. In the Olympics, we're the only country, by the way, that has a bunch of pampered athletes who thinks it's appropriate when they have microphones in front of them to spew this liberal crap to the world. And by the way, they don't know what they're talking about. They've been spending the last 4 or 5 years, working out and not studying politics. But when they get the forum in front of them and the world is looking at them, they think their message means something. So they get out there and we're the only country, by the way, on the whole stage, the whole Olympic stage, that thinks it's okay for their kids to make snide remarks about the president or what's happened with ICE. You listen to Japan. They're respectful of their government. You listen to China. My God, they don't say anything bad about China. They don't go on the stage and badmouth their country. They'll have a difficult time at home.
Well, I got to believe that a lot of what's going on here is sponsored by China, because China is on the verge of global dominance. It's something they wanted. And you saw that with them, with all the way down to the Panama Canal, all the way up. They're trying to do everything to get a footprint everywhere. Now, we haven't heard about it in weeks. I'm surprised, but probably because they're quietly doing things for Greenland. But China wants Greenland. Yeah, they hope we screw it up. They hope that we, the Americans, say no, let them be, so China can go in there.
Well, you know what I heard someone say about the Olympics. Over the past 50 or 60 years, the big bad bear, Russia, has been the villain at the Olympics. The Russians are coming, or the Russians are this. They were the villains at the Olympics. But now they're saying that the country that's being painted as the villainous country is the United States of America.
Well, who painted us that way?
The Chinese.
Yeah.
This is
So, and
go ahead.
China. What is the oldest of the United States, Russia, and China? Who's the oldest?
Well, China.
Yeah. Okay. So they've been around for a long time, and they didn't survive by not doing things that they had to do to.
You go back to The Art of War, which was written by a Chinese gentleman. Was it Sun Tzu? The Art of War. And one of the things that he talks about is patience. Let the enemy destroy themselves. Don't be in such a rush to attack the enemy if they're in the process of destroying themselves. A
disease. I don't know. You destroy something from the inside out, not from the outside in. And what is happening in America right now? We're eating ourselves alive from the inside out.
Well, I just hope that, and I look at the clock on the wall, we're almost done. I hope that Trump is very aware that the clock is ticking, and we need some resolution to some very serious issues if he expects to leave a legacy. Because let me tell you what will happen if the Democrats win. They will destroy all the good that he's done. They will destroy everything that he's done. They will open the borders up again. They will do all the negative things. They'll re-implement, and it will never win another election again because they'll make it so you just can't win fairly anymore. That's what will happen. He hasn't got another chance to fix it. This is it.
I have heard talk that there is a movement out there. Why do we even have elections? Why have elections?
Well, for the time
not
being,
from the right side.
Yeah, I know, but for the time, I know what you're saying. And by the way, Bill, if they win the next time, that will become a serious conversation. If the left wins, they'll try to stop elections altogether.
And if you're conservative, whether you're Democrat or Republican, you believe in fair elections, then you might want to keep that in mind right now, because if you give it up in the midterms and in 2028, then it's gone forever. And you know what? You will be everything you have will be taxed. You will have nothing. You will be a tool of the state. No, they don't even care if you like it. If they control everything,
they'll tell you like it. You're going to have nothing and like it.
They'll come and take your guns.
They have already said, Bill, this guy Mandani essentially said you're not going to own your ultimately in New York, you won't own property. You'll rent it and like it. It'll be better for you.
What if you can't work? What if you can't rent? Well, then you're useless to society, so we'll just let you rot and die.
These are the same people, Bill, it's funny you should say that, but these are the same people who not too far down the road will say, that guy's, he's 80 years old right now. Oh, I know he's still okay. Yeah, I know he's okay, but he's 80 and he's not contributing to our society. He's just taking. Never mind the fact that for 80 years he contributed, but he's not doing it now, so maybe it would be a good time to put him out to pasture permanently.
Yeah, no Social Security anymore. You know what? You're Soylent Green. You quit producing, you're
done. Yep.
We'll turn your body into food for the peasants. The real food goes to the anointed.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm done for today. Been an interesting program. It's going to get worse before it gets better, folks. Trust me. And if Trump does the important stuff he has to do, the media is going to go ballistic and paint him out to be the worst thing since Adolf Hitler.
They've already gotten ballistic, and they're already painting that picture. And see, the numbers that I'm looking at, if you look at reasonable doubt and everything like that, and go, well, what the hell is reasonable doubt? Well, reasonable doubt is it's not even 100% certainty. It's just to a point to where we're going, screw it. That's it. He's done. There is no such thing as I guess what you'd call reasonable doubt. There's you don't have to be even 100% or even 50% guilty. What you have to be is they paint a picture that you are perceived, well, where there's smoke, there's fire. So I guess,
Bill,
he's toast.
They're going to look at us, the left, if they get into power, just because we don't share their political point of view, as being evil, bad guys. They were already doing it. Oh, you're MAGA? Oh, you're a conservative? By the way, there is no MAGA movement. I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't exist. They don't have cards. They don't have an organization. They don't have, the closest thing they got is Trump talking about it. But it is a belief system, essentially, believing that America is better off when it's constitutionally on course, and right now it's not. Right now you got Democrats who are trying to literally shred our Constitution.
Exactly.
Hey, Bill, I'm done. We got a lot to talk about, and we could talk for 2 hours. We could talk for 3 hours, actually. But
well, you know what? The good thing is there's always another day, and that would be tomorrow.
I like that, and I like the way you worked that into that too. There's always another day. Yes,
there's always another day, and the truth be told, we speak the truth, and we'll speak it again tomorrow. So on that note,
yes,
hasta la vista, baby. We're out of here.
Who are we, and why are we here? Will we be welcome, or possibly feared? Do we unite and stand tall as a nation of one, or split and divide, or be mocked and shunned? Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our beliefs? Are they red, white, and blue? The truth just have to search. Settle for less, you'll be left in the lurch. No left-leaning lies, no socialist swill. It's straight talking truth from your friends Jim and Bill. Our leaders patriotic, honest and true. Do they share our belief? Are they red, white, and blue? Are our leaders patriotic, honest and true? Do they share our beliefs? Are they red, white, and blue?
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Available at rightsideshop.com. All music the property of Jim and Bill. All rights reserved.
This is CRN America.